All right, welcome everyone. It's an honor to be here in Basel, Switzerland at the 2010 Magnolia Conference. I'm Matthew Arriaga, software designer for Manatee County. We're located in the United States, in Florida, on our Gulf Coast. Over the past 14 months, I've used Magnolia Enterprise Edition to implement both the internet and intranet site for Manatee County. We deployed the Manatee County INET in March, and just last month we launched our internet site. As project lead, I've been very happy with what the implementation team has been able to accomplish. The project had a lot of things going for it. We had a lot of good people. We had support from the top and Magnolia's simple approach to content management. I have the following three objectives for this discussion. First, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the Manatee County Magnolia project, my experience implementing Magnolia. Secondly, I'll show you how we're using Magnolia to publish web content, documents, data, and mapping information. And I'll also show you how we use Magnolia to lower the total cost of ownership and show a quick return on investment. All right. So first, a little bit about Manatee County. We have a elected board of county commissioners who appoint a county administrator. He oversees 15 federated departments. Examples of our departments include public safety, utilities, parks and recreation. Our previous website was very difficult to use and had a lot of shortcomings. So these shortcomings left the Information Services Department with not only the burden of handling departmental content, but also developing ad hoc applications for posting information online. So one of the major design goals for the website was to put the departments in control of their own content that they publish online. Manatee County has a centralized IT department who provide IT services for the rest of the county. Some of the examples of the services that we provide are software development, technology training, GIS, help desk, as well as the maintenance of our own countywide fiber network. All right, so our county IT department wasn't the only one suffering from a poor content management system. The site visitors, editors, and the IT staff all had problems with this system. Site visitors were impacted by a flawed information architecture. So even though the previous website was six years old, it had taken the information architecture from the previous site. So our sitemap was over 10 years old, and in order for a visitor to find information on a particular service that we offered, first they would have to know the department that offered that service. So one of the major goals for the new website would be that we would have to provide multiple ways to find information on our site. Some of the other problems were it was a frame site, which made bookmarking difficult, and the search engine was frequently broken. So our editors were also having problems because of the usability issues on their side, as well as the limited capabilities of the system. Our editors were constantly working against the system, finding workarounds to get their information online, prolific use of the everyone emails of information that should have been posted on our intranet, using disparate systems to get their information online are all examples of these things. So to address these issues, the new system would have to be easy to use and specifically address problems that we saw with uploaded documents. Finally, our IT staff was impacted because as a result of these limited capabilities, this rigid and monolithic design that our system had, our developers were often requested to build these small ad hoc applications to get their information online. So this meant that our new system had to be flexible enough to change over time with web trends and integrate with our existing systems. So let's recap some of the goals that I've outlined for the new system. First, the departments had to be in control of their content. Second, editors with all different skill levels had to be able to post information online. Third, we had to be able to provide multiple ways to find the information on our site so that visitors didn't have to know the organization of our departments to find the information they were looking for. The site also had to be flexible enough to integrate with our existing systems. We also outlined several other goals, including that it had to be nice looking, a modest set of content types that had to be added to the pages. Also, our research indicated that people associated red tape and bureaucracy with government websites, so that's why we would strive to have a personal, friendly-looking design. Okay, for such a large project, it had a relatively small impact on our IT staff. Because of the importance that management placed on this project, the webmaster and myself were able to work almost exclusively in Magnolia. And because Magnolia deployed to our existing architecture, we're able to request resources through our normal operating procedures. Jim Hansen, the Manatee County webmaster, has worked on the Manatee County website for over 10 years, and I have been, as software designer, have been developing applications for the county for 8 years. He and I collaborated throughout the project. As I said, there was a lot of good people. Management supported us through the entire project. My boss, Larry Colbert, Michael McLaughlin, the department director, deputy county administrator, Karen Winden, they are all very supportive of the project, and that helped us get the things that we needed. Jim and I also got a lot of help from the other members of the IT staff. For instance, our trainer was able to develop a Magnolia Level 1 training course. Our database administrator made sure that we had all the Oracle resources that we needed. System administrators gave us hardware. Security analysts configured the application firewall. Our LDAP administrator configured the LDAP module, the workflow, and the security roles. And I also got help from our developers for some of the custom templates that we did. When we kicked off the project, we started with an implementation team composed of 2 people from each department. One as a business analyst who knew the services that their department provided, as well as a more technical savvy person who could learn software and get other people started. That implementation team helped design the original sitemap, request capabilities. They acted as Magnolia champions in their department to get people to training and to get people started. 4 months into the project, we began offering a training course for Magnolia and gave individual help sessions to people, and we got an additional 140 editors into the system. All right, so that's a little bit about why we needed a new system and what the system had to accomplish. Let's see here. All right. So how did we do? The internet site went live August 9th with Magnolia Enterprise Edition 4.3.5. And we were able to accomplish many of our goals by using the out-of-the-box features of Magnolia. For instance, we're able to configure the security and workflow to isolate each department's content and to give them control over their editors and publishers. The system had to be easy to use. So in general, our editors like the system, and we're seeing more activity than ever before on the internet site. We used SDK teasers to build like customer-centric landing pages that pulled information from across our site and offer them on specific pages, and this helped people find the services that they were looking for without knowing the departments that offered those services. Also, we use the sitemap and the search as additional ways to get there. So I found the framework to be flexible and have already integrated with ESRI, Domino, Oracle data, as well as extra software components that we've already had in-house. Also, the themed sites has shown that we're able to change the look and the feel very easily, separated out from the content. So that was also good. We're hearing a lot of positive comments on the website, and everyone seems to like the new design. The abundant contact information on the pages break the bureaucratic stereotype of other government websites. So we're able to meet our goals, and we also delivered a new intranet site after just 4 months into the project. So a 4-month turnaround time for the intranet site was a huge victory for the project. We're able to show our stakeholders return on investment. We found it was easy to get started with a simple Magnolia site, and as our knowledge of the Java content repository and Magnolia grew, we were able to upgrade, integrate, and leverage existing systems on our network. I saw reduced complexity for deployment, integration, and adoption. First, Magnolia reduced the complexity for deployment. Because it used our existing IT infrastructure, I was able to request all the resources I needed just through our normal operating procedures. Servers, databases, disk space, training resources were all available to me. I saw reduced complexity for integration because of the open framework, and it was based on standards, so I was able to integrate with, as I said, Oracle, Domino, ESRI, and also I saw reduced complexity in adoption because it was easy for our editors to get started with Magnolia. They don't have to be experts to be productive. A lot of times our editors just need to make simple routine edits to the site, and that's what we're seeing. There's a lot of small edits throughout the site. I've already touched on the fact that our previous system was difficult to use, but in fact we only had 17 editors for the old site. That's about 1 editor per department. With Magnolia, not to mention those same editors would have to learn a completely new system when they posted information to the intranet site. So with Magnolia, we're able to deliver a single system to post information both on our internet and intranet sites. But what made it really successful is that we're able to get that system into the hands of over 170 editors. That's over 10 times the number of our previous site. Okay, as I mentioned before, we wanted to give departments complete control over their content. We're able to do this with the LDAP module. We configured it to use our Domino address book, which was convenient because we were already using Domino to grant privileges based on roles tied to Lotus credentials. We were also able to configure the security for an 8-person team who had complete site-wide access for editing and publishing content. We then had 1 to 4 publishers per department. The remaining editors have access to edit any of their pages in their department's area. We were also able to simplify the intranet publishing so that all activations proceeded directly to the published site. All right, so here's another example of our team's hard work and the simplicity of Magnolia. Without any previous experience with Magnolia, we were able to deploy 2 large websites in under a year. Although the county's intranet site was over 10 years old and needed some serious work, it was not in the original scope of the project. So 2 months into the project, we decided that replacing the intranet site would pay off in a big way if we could show some ROI to our stakeholders, provide a learning tool for our editors, publishers, developers, and system administrators. We could meet or exceed the existing capabilities of the site, and we could provide a fresh new design that could be updated later after we went live with our My Manatee site. We were able to complete all those goals and put the intranet site into production in just 4 months. In hindsight, this was a good idea because we learned a lot having a Magnolia site in production. And we got a lot more people using the system than what otherwise would have been. One of the unintended consequences was that we had an extremely high comfort level when we put our internet site into production. So over the course of the project, our editors uploaded over 4,000 documents and created over 3,000 content pages in between both of our sites. So I've discussed a little bit about the Manatee County Magnolia implementation, and have explained that by leveraging the county's investment in IT infrastructure and knowledge, we're able to show a quick return on investment and lower our total cost of ownership for operating a website. Now I'd like to use the remainder of the discussion to show you what changes we've made to Magnolia and how we're using this to accommodate our existing data and platforms. It's my hope that my examples will help people that are starting down a path that Manatee County has been on for the past 14 months. Some of the things that we've done were create a skinnable theme. We've integrated data from our existing platforms. We've made modifications to the SDK, enhanced and extended the form module, and added additional JavaScript libraries for data analysis and mapping. All right, so this is an example of these are our two sites, side by side. You'll see a lot of the out-of-the-box features of Magnolia, the group teaser, link list, latest news, search, sitemap, and you'll also see one of our custom templates that build select box navigation based on categories. All right. So one of the things that we did that I thought was really cool and saved us a lot of time as we developed new designs for the site was this skinnable theme. We don't have a dedicated graphic designer, so our webmaster found himself busy coordinating content development across the departments, editing, reviewing, migrating content into the new site, as well as generating graphic art and editing style rules. So we use the process CSS capabilities of Magnolia to add a few free marker variables to the top of the style sheet, and by passing in a variable, we were able to change the color palette and the DMS root folder of the background images. Using this technique, we're not only able to quickly prototype a new design, but also demonstrate it for our stakeholders throughout the site. And here's an example of some of the skins that we came up with for our site. You can see they're all very similar. They just differ by a small color palette and the background images. But this was a good way to get our ideas across to our stakeholders who wanted to see multiple designs. We're going to be leveraging the work that we put into the skinnable theme as we deploy another internet site for a cooperative with Florida Women in Government. So I already mentioned that we're able to continue using our Domino address book for managing user access to the system. We did this by creating our own external user object. We also created our own import handler, data import handler, to get information. We got human resources information out of our Oracle database and combined it with LDAP data stored in the Domino address book and imported it into the data context of the data module. So after we did this, we were able to use the contact template throughout the site for anyone in our organization. Also, using Lotus as our LDAP provider adding IBM same-time presence awareness was a snap. I just had to import the JavaScript library, modify the contact template, and the footer to show if someone's online. Here's an example of our contacts page in the middle of the section, contacts in the extras area on the My Manatee site and on the iNet. You can also see I added contact or presence awareness to the footer to show if the author's online and how many people are on the site logged in. Okay, so this turned out to be very valuable during the construction of the site because we could see how many people were online and who authored the page and provide another mechanism for collaboration. All right. So Manatee County makes heavy use of the document management system in Magnolia. We have official documents that we're required to post for the public, as well as many other documents that need to be printed out, filled out, and submitted for internal and external use. And in addition, the limitations of the previous site had created a culture where our editors would frequently post information as PDFs or Word docs or images. So one simple thing we did to the templates was we allowed multiple columns in the document list. And then we went further and developed our own template that builds a document list based on a DMS folder. We also expanded the metadata for documents to include expiration date, document types, and other information relevant to our business requirements. I then used this metadata to build a table of document information. The dialog will accommodate up to 8 columns of document metadata sorted by document type. So here you see the modifications we made to the documents. An author just selects the DMS root folder, number of columns, and it generates this list of documents. This was really easy to do, and it's used all over the site, and it's become a favorite with our editors. Here's an example of the document table that I mentioned. You can see that after the user selects a DMS folder, selects a row designator, and gives a subheading, the template generates a folder of a table of metadata based on, in this case, the 2010 meetings agendas folder. So after tagging the document with metadata, the table pulls that information out and sorts it by document type. So in this case, the first column is showing the meeting date, and then each additional column shows the title with link for each of the document types. I like this because it encourages our users to add metadata to the documents. All right. So I just touched on the fact that we have a lot of documents, a lot of forms stored in the DMS. So that's why I'm especially excited about the modifications we've made to the Forms module. I think the Forms module is going to continue to play a larger role in the website as our capabilities come online and our editors become more proficient in the software. There's a lot of opportunities to streamline the collection of data that otherwise would have taken custom development time. One of the first things I did when working in the forms is write a simple JavaScript that generates the free marker template that can be pasted into the email. Some of the forms were quite long, so I used the jQuery UI library to turn our field sets into tabs. I wrote a custom Oracle form processor that writes information submitted in the form to an Oracle table. So the attachments are stored as blobs after it's scanned with CLAM antivirus. And here's examples of where I've added tabs to our forms, the free marker template that can be copied and pasted into the forms email, as well as the dialog modifications of field suppression. So here, our forms will hide or display values based on previously selected values. So between the tabs, the field suppression, and the out-of-the-box validation, our forms have a certain amount of interactivity to them. So this is Flexigrid. Flexigrid is one of my favorite features that we've added to our sites. It's a jQuery data grid that was integrated into Magnolia by one of our other developers. He was already using Flexigrid in another application, so this is a good example where we got to use our existing knowledge and code in the new website. The Flexigrid dialog is configured to point to any one of our Oracle tables and then embeds that data into one of the pages. So we've added another servlet to the filter chain to handle requests made by Flexigrid. After the Flexigrid's been added, a user can sort, export data, search the data, and it's even editable. So it's pretty neat. And now our editors have a quick way to share their data with other people online. So now with the modifications we've made to the forms and Flexigrid, we can now begin collecting data online through the form that gets submitted to an Oracle table, which then instantly shows up on our iNet in a Flexigrid table. All right, and here's examples of the Flexigrid. It's an open source tool. We've had good success with it. We've found it to be very flexible. Here you can see you enter a username, password, and you get a drop-down list of the tables that user has access to. And here's an example of what Flexigrid looks like on the page. You can see you can export to Excel. You can change the columns that show up. It's got sorting, searching, paging. All right, so we've also provided our editors with the ability to add embedded dynamic maps directly into their web pages. We have a mature geographical information system based on ESRI products. We use the ArcGIS server to provide the mapping capabilities in the site. One of the interesting things about this template was that it uses Dojo. The ESRI mapping library uses Dojo, so we had no problems adding an additional JavaScript library to our pages. I was able to add Dojo support in both our dialogues and the SDK pages. The dialog allows the editor to select the map size, the extent, the title. We're also working on adding additional tools to the map, as well as expose spatial operations and search capabilities that the ArcGIS server exposes as RESTful web services. Okay, so now with just a little bit of work to format our Oracle data with JavaScript actions, we can build a page that has an embedded map on it with a Flexigrid table below it, and our editors can sort, search, page through data, and update the map's extent based on the records in the table. So here's an example of a map. Here is the width, the height. It's got basic controls for zooming and panning. The editors can also add different layers to the map. All right, here's what the map looks like in the page. You can see it's very simple right now. We hope to expand on the set of tools. It's got simple toolbar, zooming, panning, and a drop-down layer to control the visibility of the layers. All right, so although the original scope of the project was to provide a new internet site, the project has actually delivered much more. Now, Manatee County has a framework that can replace many of the ad hoc development efforts that has happened in the past. As features are added for one department, they're made available to the rest of the organization. And the enhancements that I've described are really so awesome because it works with the standard templating kit. So now people can write their own forms and add contact information and teased pages throughout our site. So forms, Flexigrid, maps, and the entire SDK all work together to build pages rich with information. I hope that I've given you some insight into my experience successfully implementing Magnolia at Manatee County, and have shown that Magnolia has reduced complexity during deployment, integration, and adoption, has lowered our total cost of ownership, and shown a quick return on investment. So even though Magnolia provides a simple interface to manage content, its strength is actually in its open framework that can integrate into an organization's existing IT landscape. Even though we're still tweaking some of our templates, we've already began moving forward with new projects. We're going to be adding public user registration, privileged page access, adding e-commerce support, and the integration of SOAP web services. So we'll also be implementing and integrating a streaming video server pretty soon. So that's all I have. I'll take any questions that anyone has.
What you have planned for e-commerce?
It's going to be utility bill payments. So we're going to, after we set up our public user registration, our editors will be able to log in with a common account and pay their utility bills. And it'll start with the utilities department, but hopefully we'll be able to expand that as additional departments request e-commerce facility.
And in terms of so tool-wise, or what? I mean, from a technology perspective.
I'm sorry.
From a technology perspective, what do you have anything in mind already, or?
Well, we have a relationship with Bank of America, so they handle our the credit card processing.
Okay.
It'll be mostly a shopping cart, and then we'll pass that to the bank.
To the bank, okay.
And then we'll get back the confirmation. So it'll be simple compared to some implementations.
Okay. Thanks. More?
Fairly open question, but we've heard many people today who are system integrators, agencies, and I think you're the only one we heard today that you know you're your own client basically. I'm actually wondering how it works in the U.S. and do you know if there's more, you know, if the fact that you guys chose Magnolia, does it have any impact elsewhere, or is that really an isolated, you know, event?
I will say that we have a relationship with some of the other surrounding counties. For instance, our public safety department has implemented a emergency operations type software, and the fact that they're using it has helped, has made our decision easier because other counties are using it. So there is some communication there between other local governments.
Did you run through an extensive evaluation phase before choosing Magnolia, or did you see the product and decided, yes, that's what we want?
We had looked at a few. We didn't spend a lot of time. We liked Magnolia because it was Java, and it, like I said, it ran on our existing software. We're able to get it set up very quickly compared to some of them that we spent, quite a time just getting it to run. So that played a lot into our decision.
And when it comes to the total cost of ownership, is there a quantitative figure you can mention that says, okay, using Magnolia makes running a web service much more cheaper because we are so much faster, we are so much more agile?
No, I didn't run any numbers. I was just coming from the standpoint that we didn't have to have any additional training. We didn't have to buy any additional servers. We were able to pull information directly out of our existing platforms and get it in there. So that's where I was.
Okay, yeah, good. Great.